You as a fast service struggle to put out the inferno. Stay with us for this breaking news coming out of the Ashanti regional capital. Also tonight, Roads Minister challenged Parliament to set up a bipartisan probe into his record on road construction.
I challenge any member of this house, I challenge any member of this country to request that if anybody is in doubt, this house can set up an independent bipartisan committee to investigate at my ministry.
We'll take you live to Parliament also tonight.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Well, in the last few minutes, fire has engulfed the Kumasi KJTM market. It's a major developing story that we are following for you in the last few minutes. The fire, we understand, started around 4:30 this afternoon, and it has engulfed the entire market in flame. And this is a market that was recently redeveloped, costing millions of dollars. My colleagues in Kumasi are on the ground, and I want to take you crossover now to Joy News. We're giving you rolling coverage of this. You want to tune in as well, but let's get a bit more on what is happening on the ground right now in KJTM, where the market there is on fire.
The KJTM market has been engulfed in fire. The fire service is trying to, fight this fire to ensure that the destruction is not spread widely. We are there to let you get up to speed update on this. Nana Boachi Yadom is our man on the ground who is helping us with update on what is happening there. If you're watching us on TV, you can see scenes of when the fire began. If you're watching on radio, the sound you're hearing beneath mine is how people were reacting when the fire began at the initial stages. It was that deadly and quite fearsome. If you're watching, you could feel how the fire was. For those of you listening, I mean, you can see thick smoke emanating from some structures. Fire service personnel trying to quench the fire when it began. The fire was very heavy. As we speak, we understand that they are still fighting it. Would bring you visuals for you to see where we are now in terms of trying, to battle this fire. But it's such a heavy one. If you are listening on radio, for what I can tell you is from the beginning, thick fire was in some of these structures. Very thick smoke was emanating from the part where the fire was. People were just scrambling to get some of the items to evacuate them from where the fire is. It's such a very hectic situation as we speak. We understand that some people have been rescued from the levels where the fire is. Others are still, but we cannot tell whether everybody has been evacuated. Some have. We understand that people are trying to pack their items from nearby stores where the fire has not gotten to. But the thing is that the fire service personnel are still trying to fight this fire. Nana Boachi Yadom is back with that. Nana, so I was trying to find out from you, aside the fire service, the National Ambulance Service, do we have other security services there to offer a helping hand?
So no, we do not have. We only have the Ghana Fire Service and the Ghana Police Service, also the ambulance service here. Just three of them are here at the moment. And then there are some security personnel working inside the KJTM market, also assisting the Ghana Police Service and all these services to also help quench the fire.
Okay, Nana, so once you are there, I'm sure there are people who, have carried their items from where the inferno is. Kindly speak to some of them for us to understand how they see what's happening, their experiences with this inferno, and what they think, what else can be done to ensure that we're able to bring this fire under control, Nana.
So I have this gentleman, this man here with me. He actually saw what happened. Let's speak to him and then let's find out what actually led to the fire. I don't know, he's also inside the market, but then he will tell us what actually happened. But again, let's speak for him to say. You don't say that the air. Never put where the bad thing I say, I get. Yeah, 2 years more marketing inside. There's a team and station master. Now, most of money amount kind. If I said a day was here, you want. I need a tie. Then I'm more estimate. Okay, so they are saying that where the fire got or where the fire started, where they sell fire ties, and then I can just imagine, or I can say the quota. Okay, so that is how it started. It started from there, and then it went down to the other part of the building. He is saying that he is a procurement over there or inside the KJTR market. He is a procurement station master, and for God being so good, his things also did not get spent. So he is also one person who witnessed what happened inside the KJTR market.
Well, he said the fire is now heavier than what we see. Did I hear him right?
It's not heavier than what he actually saw at the beginning. He said it started as a small fire and then now it got out of hand.
Once he knew how it got started, could he let us understand what caused it or how it all began, since he is able to tell that the fire is now heavier than it is the way it started?
So I don't know if you find it funny by the ground, the second by the answer. Let's see how you market to the boy, American here, the bathroom. If some of us is very bad, not the answer. Maybe the answer is Kovoga said to me, yeah, boys, now, the boy. Or my, yeah. Well, let's say first fire service, maybe emergency, but mobile move to back to the Edma. Once you move through Yan, I get money here. When you back to the house, I'm fine. Ọmọ mi ni èlò ọgbà ọ̀rọ̀ náà tàbí ọmọ ìṣe ìkọ̀kọ̀ àṣàna àbúrọ̀fúnú ẹbí train ẹba ẹyí ìkọ̀kọ̀ fìtò before train ní báyìí náà òbí di àìntúmọ̀ wàtí fi ntúmọ̀ ní wọ́n tó fìtò ìfúnfún ara ní ọ̀sán bí ọba àkùnrin bá ṣe ẹ̀kiri wọ́n ti àṣẹ ẹ̀nà òdi sẹ́ni ìyá àbá àwọn fún ẹ̀dẹ̀ tìmí fìtò ọ̀wá rẹ̀ di ó ṣe bá ní ọ̀nà ẹ̀kiri nù ọ̀nà bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe fún mi àwọn ọmọ sọ̀rọ̀ àṣàna àbúrọ̀fún ìdí train bá wọn mú fọ́kọ̀ sílẹ̀ kọ̀ fún ọmọ ìsìn kọ̀ọ̀kọ̀ kàkàrà àṣàna àgbèsí àná òbí ẹ̀ tún ọba àánú máa yẹ dẹ̀ ìdí àbá fọ́m. Okay, so they are also saying that when the fire started, the Ghana Fire Service arrived, but then none of their trucks were able to quench the fire. In fact, they said their truck has no water at all. So as I speak to you, there are not fire service trucks coming to this direction to where the fire is actually burning. So they are now coming with a fuel tank or with a fuel tank truck coming to quench the fire. But then it is down a little because those inside there, those students here, also tried their best to calm it down. But then the other trucks of the Ghana Fire Service are coming towards this direction to also make sure that everything is in order. But they also said that a woman up there tried to descend, but then she jumped over the story building and she nearly lost her life. But then she saved, and then also they are driving people down here to make sure that nobody is stuck up inside the KJTR market.
So that's the breaking news story there, live on the Joy News channel right now. You should see the inferno that has engulfed the KJTR market, and this is coming shortly after the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly had announced, after several delays, that the second phase of the KJTR redevelopment project was to begin on March 30th. This was last year, and this is one of those projects that had taken a lot of resources to build. The first phase commenced in 2015, and the John Mahama administration was scheduled to cost 248 million euros. That's how much the redevelopment of the KJTR market was supposed to cost. The sword cutting for the commencement of the second phase of the project was done on May 2nd, 2019, and was expected to be completed in 48 months. But there have been several delays to this project, and now was expected to be commencing last year, and then should finish in 48 months later. We know that has been a challenge by itself, but this is a pretty important market, not only for the Ashanti region, but for the country. And if it's famous as being one of the largest markets in West Africa, and not only serves the Kumasi region but also acts as a magnet for traders from the neighboring countries such as Benin and Togo. And this, once built, was supposed to become the hub for the northern sector of the country, where before it was redeveloped into what we currently know as the Kejetia redeveloped market. It comprised more than 12,000 stores and stalls with quite a significant space also for a lot of the people who are trading there. So this is a significant market, a lot of money pumped into it. But tonight, as we speak, if you're just joining us, it is on fire, the Kejetia market right now. We've been just watching the flames there, the fire service attempting to put it out. We've been in touch with the KMA that has been in charge of redeveloping the market and beginning the second phase. Yeah, they're just trying to come to terms themselves with what has happened today. You've heard the eyewitness who've been speaking to our report on the ground say that this may have started at the section of the market where they sell tires. I can see on our screens, if you're watching Joy News, you see this as well. The fire service officers have now managing to mount a ladder to climb to a part of that market high up. And attempting to pull the flames out. If you are in and around that area and are watching this, please share what you're seeing with us from a safe distance. We're hearing from eyewitnesses telling us that the woman had to jump out of a building to save her life. That's how bad it's been on the ground in Kejetia. People having to jump from higher floors at the Kejetia market, which is currently being engulfed in flames to save their lives. There are no reports of casualties yet. The fire service is currently preoccupied with attempting to put out the flame before they begin to assess the damage and if there's been any casualties tonight. So if you're joining us right now, that is the major breaking news story from Ashanti region. The Kejetia market is in flames tonight after a massive redevelopment costing several millions of cedis, $259 million. The project was expected to cost. The second phase was supposed to also commence last year after several delays since 2019. That was one of those key investments that the state wanted to make because of the importance of this particular market. Tonight, that all is in jeopardy. We'll keep an eye on this developing story and bring you more as and when we get it. And I want to take you to Parliament now. Another major story we are following for you. The controversy over the roads record of this government today again led to divisions on the floor, forcing the Roads and Highways Minister Kwesi Amakwata to throw a challenge to Parliament to constitute a bipartisan committee to probe his record in the last 6 years. Listen to the minister on the floor.
It's categorical that this government has put more votes
from the level
than any government in the history of the Fourth Republic. And Mr. Speaker, the details of all these votes are attached in the annex. Mr. Speaker, this statement made by His Excellency the President was factual, the statement was credible, the statement was dependable, the statement was incontestable, the statement was undisputed, the statement was introducible, and above all, Mr. Speaker, the statement is very valuable by anybody who cares. Mr. Speaker, that statement on the road sector made by His Excellency the President is backed by empirical data which is available at Ministry of Roads and Highways. And Mr. Speaker, I challenge any member of this House, I challenge any member of this country, and Mr. Speaker, I can go further to request that if anybody is in doubt, this House can set up an independent bipartisan committee to investigate at my ministry the facts of the data, and that the President, under his leadership has done more work in the road sector.
Well, the minority side backed this particular challenge. Listen to Kwame Agboja, who is a minority chief whip.
That he believes many people in the country doubt the data is provided. So he's offering that you direct that the House set up a bipartisan commission to investigate or verify the claim he's made. Would I plead with you now to direct that we set up the committee, since he knows that we doubt this information, so that we set up the committee to investigate this.
Let's go to Parliament. Let's speak to parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, who joins us right now. Kweku, so what was the Speaker's response to that?
So the second Deputy Speaker, who was in the chair, was pretty much surprised that this demand was coming from no other person than the Roads Minister himself, and that the minority leader, the Chief Whip, was backing him up on that. But he said that this was a decision he wanted to take right there on the spot. This was a decision that the entire leadership would have to deliberate on and decide on. But you could see from both sides of the house, as you heard from the Roads Minister, you would hear the cheers right behind him. There were those who were gesturing that this is something that we have to do. And then from the minority side as well, pretty much ready. Since the President delivered the State of the Nation address, the roads declaration has become such a sticking point in the debate which is still ongoing in Parliament. But the Speaker says leadership of the House will have to come together and develop the modalities, if anything at all, to set up this committee. So,
has this committee been formed now?
It hasn't. As of now, what we expect is that the leadership on both sides, if they are so minded, would have to now deliberate. Normally, when such matters come up on the floor and a person or an MP moves a motion of a sort for a committee to be set up, it's usually discussed at conclave before the decision will come up on the floor for a decision to be taken. For now, that committee has not been set up. It is the expectation that, just as the second Deputy Speaker has said, leadership on both sides will confer, and if they are so minded to set up this committee, will develop the modalities and come back to the floor with names of whether or not they are going to hand this over to the Roads Committee, which is a standing committee of Parliament to deal with, or they are going to set up a special committee like the Minister has been suggesting. That is the kind of modalities that the committee and the leadership would have to discuss and come back to the chamber with.
I mean, safe to say, since the State of the Nation address, this has been the most divisive subject on the floor of Parliament. Yesterday, I was listening in when Frida Prempeh, the Works and Housing Minister, took the same route, and that triggered massive chaos on the floor. Indeed,
according to Frida Prempeh, the minority have sought to discredit those claims made by President Akufo-Addo. And indeed, President Akufo-Addo himself had attached to his State of the Nation address an annex that catalogued the kinds of roads that he has built. But the minority have been debating and saying that when this government patches up a road, when they fill up a pothole, they add everything and say that they've constructed roads. And that it cannot be true that President Akufo-Addo has constructed that much roads, and that even John Dramani Mahama constructed more roads than President Akufo-Addo. They say that President Akufo-Addo has been changing the timeline, but at some time he said he had constructed more roads than any government in the history of the country, and now he's saying that that is the Fourth Republic. So the minority have been seeking to discredit those claims. Yesterday, we heard from the Deputy Ranking Member on the Roads and Transport Committee, who himself was a former Deputy Roads Minister. He addressed the news conference and sought to punch holes into some of those claims that have been made by both President Akufo-Addo and the NPP MPs who have been debating the State of the Nation address.
Thank you very much. Let's bring in the chairman of the Roads Committee in Parliament, Kennedy Nyarko, joins us on the line right now. Mr. Nyarko, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Yeah, thank you, Evans. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I mean, I'm sure even you might have been surprised to hear a minister requesting for a bipartisan parliamentary probe into his own record. Is this something that you support?
Well, Evans, first of all, thanks for giving me this opportunity. Yes, I support, because if you look at the brouhaha surrounding this number of kilometers of road that have been constructed under President Akufo-Addo, then there is a need for a bipartisan committee to put together so that we can go and just do physical verification on these roads that the minister says that the Akufo-Addo government has constructed. So I'm in full support. I mean, I think if you do that, it will bring closer to this, and everybody, all Ghanaians will know the truth. So I am in full support.
I mean, but I wonder what the real tangible reason for this is, if not to only tickle the fancy of the government. I mean, why would you spend resources to do this just to verify a claim because the minority guys do not agree with you or they doubt you?
So a government that have spent so much investment into the road sector, constructed almost about 11,975 kilometers of, various categories of road in this country, comes to Parliament addressing the entire nation, puts a document together, giving details of all roads that have been constructed, the allocations and the various regions. Then the minority that represent the people that's supposed to know better comes out to dispute the figure that have been put out by the government or by the ministry. Then the best solution for everybody to know the truth, because we cannot go on with this banter tomorrow, this next day, that. We can't continue in that tangent. So the best way is that let's go. All the documents that have been provided, the roads are in. They are contained. They have names. We can locate them. Let's go and do physical verification, because we need to tell the truth to Ghanaians. Okay, so that tomorrow, not just because of politics or partisanship politics, somebody will come, even if government has done this, people don't want to appreciate or recognize it, then we just throw dust into the eyes of the Ghanaian people and just like, no. So I am in full support, irrespective of the kind of resources, because in any case, it's part of our responsibility as members of Parliament, playing oversight role. Okay, so if the ministry have provided Parliament that this is what they have done between 2017 to 2022, then we have every right to go and do physical verification. This time around, it will not be only the road committee that will do it, but we should put a team, a bipartisan team, and let's go, and after that, we'll come and report in Parliament for everybody to know whether what the president came to say, or whether the document provided by the ministry, whether they are true or they are lies, full of lies. Then we will be able to know and tell Ghanaian people. So I don't see any difficulty in putting this team together to go and do the verification. And in terms of cost, in any case, if even they don't go, we even on the road committee have plans to do it. So now that the minister is calling for bipartisan, we will join him, we'll go and do it, and we'll bring a report for everybody to know.
I see the facts in front of me, and I come to the conclusion that you may have created this controversy yourselves, because I look at a press release that the Roads and Highways Ministry issued dated 20th February 2022. The minister there says, quote, "The performance of the Akufo-Addo-led government in the road sector is unprecedented since independence in 1957 for our country." That is the roads minister last year in February. And then in the State of the Nation address, the president says, "I would like to state categorically that this government has built more roads than any government in the history of the Fourth Republic." Which is which, Mr. Nyako? Is it in the history of in the Fourth Republic, or in the history of Ghana since independence?
I don't see any ambiguity in the two statements. Okay, what the president said and what the minister has said, and I will repeat it by myself. No government for the first 4 or 5 years in this country have been able to construct 11,000 kilometers of road. No government
in the history of Ghana since independence.
You can go into the archives and check. Tell me which government that he has been able to construct more than 11,000 kilometers in its first year. Nobody.
But Mr. Nyako, we need to be clear on this. Are you stating this as in the history of the country since independence, or in the Fourth Republic?
In the Fourth Republic, I'm talking about the Fourth Republic.
Yeah, but that is a contradiction to what the roads minister said last year. He limited himself. In fact, his dates of measure dates all the way back to 1957. The president is now narrowing it to the Fourth Republic. They clearly
I don't see which one. If the president comes and say that in the history of the Fourth Republic, nobody has constructed road more than what his administration has done, and the minister is saying that nobody has constructed road since let's say
There are two different things.
I don't see what is the ambiguity in
No, it's not ambiguity. Both statements are not the same. It means that possibly, if you take the president's word, it means that possibly before the Fourth Republic, some government or one government may have done more than you. But if you take the roads minister's point, then no government in our history since independence had done more than you.
Well, I will even go beyond that because I haven't seen. Though I'm not that old, but I haven't seen. I'm yet to see any document, anybody to prove, give me a document which shows that even before we had even our independence, a government within the 4 years or 5 years constructed more than 10,000 kilometers in this country. Do you know the number of kilometers of road, good road that we have in this country? Do you know? So if a government has done 11,000 plus of it, out of the 94,000, the 94,000 that we have, the 98,000 that we have been able to build, or we have a road network that we have in this country. You have to look at, in terms of percentage-wise, how many of those roads or the number of roads that are being paved and the one that have not been paved. So you can do your analysis and do a computation by yourself. So if you have about 20-something thousand plus of kilometers that have been paved, so you take what this government has done out of it and do your own computation and calculation by yourself. And look at the previous government, what they have done. I'm not just saying that nobody, all those governments that came, they didn't do anything. That would be a completely dishonesty on my part. But to say that no government has done it. But in terms of people who have done serious investment, don't you see all this road construction everywhere? You see it yourself.
Okay, so when will this nationwide probe start?
Well, so Speaker, I think Speaker made a ruling that they have to do a further consultation and come out. So we are looking at Speaker when they will do the further consultation with the leadership, and we'll see the final decision that will be taken by the leadership.
Okay, I'm grateful, Mr. Nyako. He's the chairman of the Roads Committee in Parliament. And remember, major story this hour is the fire that has engulfed the KJTR market, the redeveloped KJTR market that cost us more than $200 million. You're keeping a close eye on that, and we'll be bringing you more on Newsnight, which starts in a minute.
One gunner, pit. Just one gunner.
Yo, bro, I beg, make you give me correct shock absorber. Or make a do video concept, then take the Gaussian P for the engine show you.
Hey, yawa humache. Every morning you the tear calls, they browse. Actually, something they there.
Hey, Tago, the way town make hot. I grow best one if you no po. If it be you where you get Vodafone one Ghana promo them out. 20 minutes talk time to call all networks. Where you start get data and 1 gig from 5 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Bye. Anka you go do pass me safe, Anka. You dial star 530 hash. Make we enjoy. You go fit subscribe as many times as you want.
Yes, plantain chips.
Yo, sweet Ama, take this by Vodafone one Ghana bundle. Moku vibe plus video calls and taste. You catch the vibe early morning 5 a.m. sharp.
Vodafone, further together.
On Newsnight tonight, KJTR market on fire. We are live to the ground where the fire service is now struggling, battling to put out that inferno. We'll be hearing from eyewitnesses and the fire service. Also tonight, it is unacceptable. Upper West Regional Health Boss fumes as he brands doctors forced to use mobile phone lights for surgeries at the Wild West District Hospital as a result of non-functional theatre lamps as a responsible.
Endangering the lives of patients by using phones, which I believe is not even correct, because that would be an act of irresponsibility. When there are nearby hospitals, you can easily refer. To be operating with mobile phones is unacceptable.
We will tell you the story of the struggles of health personnel in the discharge of their duties.
Next week, it's not actually, Professor has just said, it's not that far. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow we will see the decline in prices that we expect.
Tonight, Vice President claims tomorrow's reduction in fuel prices is due to the much-touted gold for oil deal.
How do we say that gold for oil is what is accounting for the drop in the prices when even the international market prices are dropping?
But this session has been disputed. We'll hear from the boss, also the Vice President's declaration of how much the state is saving in excess of $4 billion from the gold for oil deal. Details of that all here on Newsnight. Plus, in the Ghana Man series today, the spotlight is on the unique community called Zoliba in the Upper East region, where a mahogany tree plays a key role.
This bond between the Zoliba communities is represented by this majestic mahogany tree, which is a shrine for the communities.
In business.
Now, bondholders that didn't participate in the domestic debt exchange program received payment for coupons and principals that matured last month.
And in sports, Chris Hughton was appointed to ensure continuity in the Black Stars. A GFA Executive Council member reviews reason for Hughton's progression from technical advisor to Black Stars coach ahead of Monday's unveiling.
You want to stay with us for that and more here on Newsnight. Plus, your views are welcome. 05511119997. And we stay with that breaking news story coming out of the Kumasi, where the Kedutia market has been on fire since 4:30, and we are learning a bit more about the extent of this inferno that has ravaged this redeveloped market. We are hearing from eyewitnesses telling us, and our report on the ground reporting that people are having to jump from higher floors just to escape the inferno. The fire service has been battling this blaze and to try and put it out. Our reporter on the ground, Nalaya Boache, has been speaking to the fire service, but also to eyewitnesses.
So at the moment there is no fire because they have brought everything under control. You can see that they are entering the building to make sure that everything is being quenched, the fire is being quenched totally. But right now it is smoke coming in. Smoke coming in frequently, so they are doing their best to make sure that the smoke coming will be brought under control, and then people inside there would also be rescued totally. So that is the situation here. They are trying their best. They are entering to make sure that people inside there are being rescued. Fire has been brought down, but the smoke is what is getting out of, and they are trying their best to make sure that there is no smoke at all.
I see some of the fire service personnel behind you. Is there someone we could probably speak to give us education on what's happening from the technical point of view, what we see on our screens, what it means, and where we are with this operation? Is it possible? Can we get close to some of them to find out if we can be giving technical education on what exactly or where we are now as we speak?
So I was trying my best to get the head of the Ghana National Fire Service to speak to him, but then he says that we should give him time. He would address us in no time. But as I speak to you, I'm trying my best to get some of the people who got affected and then find out from them how this fire started, what is their situation now, what are they going to do, what is the new development, what is the way forward. So I'll find out from some of them and I'll ask him. This man here is also somebody who saw the situation. I'll find out.
Dear Tiano say, me ba beto nku wo shop ho. Shop na me ba beto nku ne ho ne gya no toye. Na me to ne man na me disi wo say me ba beto ade e wo keje tia asa aba abefa me ne ma no. Ti me dru ho na husie kumo wo shop ho. Enti ne pese me kura me tia se ke me bo wuram akoyi me ne ma na me disi ho no. Na ewusie ne tini ntumi nko. Na de me hu ye ne say me ba no no plug radio. Me be no plug radio ma me no ayin be bluetooth ni bi ne mete ye ne say it is low battery pre-charge na baby a plug ni wo no wa hye ne ma fa plug no ho enti baby a plug no wo no e ho no na wusie no sate ye e na ma me no so wo ne ayin fo no cupboard fo no ade ne sa so enti wo yes no e to chi sa no e na cupboard no flash ye say e blast e na meja no e flash ye say e hye
ho na wo se wo kwa akọtọ ade
na me kọtọ ma to ne ma na wie e de asi ho aya mesane abaka jeti adan ho se me beto ade na masa akọ family ma no back tim dru ho na wusie ho shop ho no na wusie mentumi ankoyi me ne ma no
ejese wo no ma no he
me ne ma ndi ahye
o ne ma ni nyina wo to ni nyina timi ahye
me ne ma na ahye
tambe ne jalo hye wa ha
ejalo hye se me fan se be se 1 hour ni 1 hour 30 minutes ni.
Okay, so he says that he was coming up there to the KJTR market to buy something from the Dubai, the upper part of the building. But then as he was buying the things, the fire started. So everything he bought got burnt. So he is saying that it started about 1 hour 30 minutes ago. So I'll find out from others and then I'll ask them what they saw. I'll find out from this woman here. Pacho den na wu ye jano obeto so say.
The one in Janish in Yanamo. One am one say, me back at Tiasa me baba mensa. Ain't me one of who say Janation and me yes and me quack or Jano. Ain't me call yano. Nay Jano, I share doom pempen so I say. Kajetia fire for no. I try my best. I say, I will make me a doom no. Now what's up, baby? At the Pamphone Pomadiana, the next store or honor. And a Janny them, the Janny sweat them, the stone and gas no more to tomb. And I want the cranny panny Jessie, why my Johnny Timmy told my she. And to Johnny, the she fire for that woman, but still, and your man ain't Timmy my
So she is saying that the fire service, they have done their best to quench the fire or to bring the fire down. But then up there we can see smoke coming in, and then they are extending their pipes inside the KJTR market, the upper part, to make sure that everything is in order. We can see leakages, yes, because of the fire outbreak. We can see so many leakages or so much leakages. They are trying their best to quench the fire totally. The smoke is still coming in, the smoke is still coming out, and then people who got up there, who got stuck up there, are being evacuated. This is another fire tender. This is another truck of the Ghana Fire Service arriving to also aid or assist quench the fire totally, because the other tanks went out of water. So this one is in to help the Ghana Fire Service quench the fire totally. Everything is in order, not exactly in order, but then the major part of the building which got burnt is being slowed down. The fire has been slowed down in the major part of the building that got burnt. So as I speak to you, the Ghana Fire Service, they are doing their best. There are a number of people here. People who were inside the building have been evacuated, and others who did not get affected are also moving their things out of the KJTR market, and then they are bringing them down to make sure that their things do not get affected. So as I speak to you right here at KJTR market, a number of Ghana Police Service personnel, a number of Ghana National Fire Service personnel, and a number of security personnel working inside the KJTR market are here, and they are making sure that everything is in order.
And that's Nana Yalbuachi on the ground for us. And we have dispatched many of our reporters there to bring you this round-the-clock coverage of this developing story in the Ashanti Regional Capital with the KJTL market on fire. The reason why this is such an important subject is because of the nature of this market and what it does for not only the region, the Ashanti region, but for many argue for the sub-region as well, because it served as a hub for the northern region in terms of trading. And the amount of money that the state had pumped into it to modernize it, 248 million euros was the redevelopment cost for that particular facility. The second phase was supposed to begin on May 2nd, 2019, but there were several delays and was then scheduled to start last year in March. And we know that for many who use that particular market, this is such an important market for Kumasi. And many tout it as the largest market in West Africa, not only serving Kumasi, the Kumasi enclave, the Ashanti region in particular, but also acts as a magnet for traders from neighboring countries such as Benin and Togo as well. So this is pretty massive, which was recently developed. The redevelopment started in 2015 all the way to 2019. And then the second phase was supposed to begin now tonight as we speak. He's been engulfed in flames. Another of our reporters who is on the ground for us tonight, giving us a 360 coverage of this, Nana Yaljima, who is joining us right now. We are hoping that we'll be getting to hear from the fire service shortly. Once we do, we'll take you back there. But let me get Nana Yaljima, who has a different vantage point view on this. And it's on the line with us. Nana Yaljima, tell me, we heard earlier that this was so bad at the point that some of the market women and some of the traders there were caught up in the fire and were forced to jump from higher floors just to escape harm.
Exactly. Earlier we had some people trying to jump from a higher floor to a safe ground. Unfortunately, most of the people who did that are well, but two of them were whisked away by the Ghana National Ambulance Service. So what we can report is that a lot of the people who were trapped inside, as of now, are safe. They've been taken to a safe place. And what now is happening is that from where the fire started, the fire service have been able to some extent, down the flame, even though they are still working to ensure that they do it totally or completely. The people who are, some of the people who own these shops have tried to get access to their shops, and they are now trying to salvage some of their work. So that is not exactly what is happening now here at the KJTL market. A number of fire tenders continue to come in to try help down the flame. Ghana National Fire Service, the police service, and also the ambulance service are all on the ground. National officials are also here trying to help these security agencies. And there are a number of people who are also trying in their own way to help these agencies, as the security officers, help down the flame. So it's so busy here, even though from where I stand, we cannot visibly see the flames. The men are still on the ground trying to help ensure that totally the flames are down.
And I'm watching our live video feed on the ground, which is pretty close to the heart of this fire. And I see that the fire service have mounted now their ladder pretty high up, attempting to try and deal with the flame from those higher floors. Nana Yaljima, I know you're seeing this on the ground, and you've talked about the market women who caught in this who have been whisked away in ambulances as we speak. Have we learned anything about what may have caused this since you've been there? And I'm watching on television, I see that some of the fire service officers who have accessed the higher floors now are now throwing over from at least the second floor of the market what appears to be some goods that may be affecting and worsening the fire situation. They are throwing them over and sort of trying to deal with this on the go. We're keeping a close eye on this. We're hoping that we get to hear from the fire service chief who's on the ground there. As we speak right now, they're trying to empty the stalls that are higher up because I believe from what I'm seeing on the television now, the fire service officers, there may still be some materials in the building, those higher floor stalls that may be aiding the further spread of the fire, and they're trying to empty those stalls now, just throwing them over. And now, Jim, I don't know if you've seen this as well, but this clearly is a challenge for the fire service officers on the ground.
Exactly. But now the fire service have moved from the floor from which they are throwing the materials over to another floor, a higher floor, where they are now trying to douse the flame at the higher floor. But yes, so a number of people trying to get to the scene of the fire to salvage some of their work. And it's very difficult for the police to control the crowd here because there are a number of people who are affected, and they are all trying to get into their shops and try to salvage some of their work in there. But the police have, on a number of occasions, tried to mount barricades to prevent people from getting access to the area. But the will of the people to get to these places, it's very difficult for the police and the security officers here to contain these people.
And then this is such an important market. Tell us more about the KJTR market. It was one of those very controversial in terms of the development. The market, the traders there have been fighting the KMA over how to distribute the stalls, but a lot of money had been pumped into this. And I know that the KMA themselves had stated very recently that they were hoping that the second phase of the redevelopment project for the KJTR market was supposed to be ready and completed by June next year. And now we're having a fire that this is going to be a major setback after all the monies that we pumped into this, more than $250 million. Nana.
Evans, the KJTR market is a very important market to trading activities in the Ashanti region. When this market was pulled down for reconstruction, it did affect a lot of business in the Ashanti region. A lot of the people who thrive on business, a lot of the business people were out of business, and it took a lot of demonstrations from the traders. They tried to stop the government from reconstructing the market. But the main reason for the reconstruction was to ensure that incidents like this, like the fire incidents, are dealt with. So the promise was that immediately this is reconstructed, it will be very difficult for this market to start flowing. And a number of reasons were given by government for the move to reconstruct this market. So it's a very important one in trading activities in the market. At the moment, the second phase has already started, but due to some financial constraints, it's halted. So the second phase is until the beginning of the year was also ongoing, and at this point it has reached an appreciable height. At least 2 floors of the new or the second phase of this market project has been built. So the expectation was that the second phase will also be completed, and the people who are supposed to move into the second phase of the Kumasi, KJTR and Central Market will get access to that for this for trading in the region or in Kumasi to get to the level that it used to be before government started the reconstruction of this particular market. But unfortunately, that one has stopped, and now this one is in place. And a number of shops, about 2 floors, have been affected, but we are unable to tell the extent of damage that the fire has done to these shops.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's Nanayao Jima there on the ground for us in Kumasi, where, as we've been reporting all throughout the last hour or so, the fire that has engulfed the KJTR market, a major market, not only in Ghana but in the SAP region as well, considering how much money has been pumped into its redevelopment already. The phase 2 of this project, a $250 million project, in excess of that project. The phase 2 is underway after several delays. Was supposed to be completed next year, June. Now it's been engulfed in flames. It's a major setback for the KMA, which of course has been leading its redevelopment. We will bring you regular updates as and when we have it. And don't forget, if you are in and around that area and have seen anything, please share what you're seeing with us on WhatsApp 05511119997. You're still live here on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. And I want to take you to the Upper West region, where the Ghana Health Services Regional Director, Dr. Damien Punguiri, has described as irresponsible the act by doctors who were compelled to use mobile phones for surgeries at the Wild West District Hospital. The doctors have said they were forced to use the mobile phone lights for the surgery because the theater lamp was not functional. While officials at the health facility told correspondent Rafiq Salam that the situation had persisted for over 8 months now. But the revelations has angered the regional health director. We'll hear from him pretty shortly. Here's my colleague Rafiq Salam with a report.
Among the plethora of challenges faced by the Wild West District Hospital is the lack of a theater lamp. The theater lamp for 2 years has broken down. Authorities at the hospital have made several attempts to repair it, but has not yielded the desired results. Medical Superintendent of the Wild West District Hospital, Dr. Benjamin Amiyuru, says the lack of a theater lamp is greatly affecting healthcare delivery at the theater.
Permit me to say that it's only one that we have. Ideally, we should have had an overhead one and then a standing one. But we've had a standing one for the years now, and unfortunately, that only one that we had also broke down. It's really affecting service because the lamp is the second eye for us, for both the nurses and the doctors when you are doing an operation. You have your own eyes, but when you are operating and you go into a cavity, a body cavity, you will not be able to see clearly. And it's like walking in the night without a torchlight. You would see that the movement will be difficult. In the same way, navigating our way through the surgical procedures that we do is a bit challenging, but we've had to do without them for close to 7 to 8 months now.
How is he able to perform surgeries without the theater lamp?
There are times you would have to ask 2 or 3 people to help with their lives. Let me just give you an example. Just this Monday, we had a man who came in with a gastric perforation with peritonitis. In layman terms, a hole in the stomach. And we needed to close the hole to avoid the contents from the stomach from leaking out into the entire cavity. And I had to use 2 lights, one on one side and another on another side, full lights, to be able to see clearly and continue with the procedure. God being so good, we were able to do it.
Well, we've been speaking to the Upper West Regional Health Director, Dr. Damien Punguiri, who says this has not come to his attention just yet. He is promising to fix it, but he wasn't happy with the doctors for going ahead to use the torchlights and also not reporting it to him.
So there is a lamp at the hospital. What I'm saying is there's a lamp at the hospital. So if it is not functioning, what the hospital is supposed to do is to report to us first. Then we will send our medical engineers, biomedical engineers to assess it, to see whether they can fix it. In fact, they worked on it somewhere last year. That's the indication I got. And it was working. So if it breaks down again, to report again, so then we'll go and check to find out whether they can work on it. Then if it cannot be worked, then we will start looking at where do we get another one. But if that has not been done, and then you are endangering the lives of patients by using phones, which I believe is not even correct, because that will be an act of irresponsibility. You know, when there are nearby hospitals, you can easily refer. To be operating with mobile phones is unacceptable.
No, you just said that they brought this problem to you and that the light was repaired, but probably has broken down again.
So they should, what I'm saying
is it not the case that they have reported this to the office several times, and because they're not getting response, that's why they even went to the member of parliament of the area to help them out?
What I'm saying is that it was worked on. So as at now, I don't even know when the lamp, it broke down again. That theater equipment broke down again. If it does, you're supposed to report. But if they didn't report, we are not going to be able to know that the lamp is malfunctioning. So, we don't have any report from that facility that the theater lamp is not working.
And are you also suggesting that if that is the case, they cannot be innovative enough and work on people when it's an emergency, that they should refer when we know that every second in this situation is count?
No, it depends on the situation. You see, there are lamps. The theater inside has light. In a gross one that you can see, of course, you can do that. But where you talking of perforation and you have to repair, it's a micro level of this. So you don't really have to risk. You can leave an item that you can also may not be able to switch up properly, and that can bring about complications. So I am saying that it is probably not.
Okay.
Once the story comes out, we can follow up to the hospital to find out what is happening.
So once you know now, what are you going to do now?
That's why I'm telling you that we will dispatch our biomedical engineers to the hospital to assess.
And there is the Upper West Regional Health Director, Dr. Damien Pogunyuri. I want to bring in now the Upper West Regional Chairman of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Muslim Ibrahim Donko. Dr. Donko, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Good evening. Good evening. Great that you could join us. And so this is a story of a particular hospital, to be very specific, the Wa West District Hospital. Is this an isolated case?
Well, yes, as far as I am aware, I also got news of the situation this morning. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know any other district hospital that is suffering a similar fate.
Where the surgical lamps aren't functioning? And
No, as far as I am aware, I've not heard of any other district that is facing a similar challenge.
Your colleagues who spoke to us obviously told us that this is something that had been not functional for more than 7 months.
Okay.
This clearly is an issue for them. It's something that has been reported before. You work in this particular part of the country. You hear your colleagues say that. Do you appreciate the challenge that they were facing, and why it had to take more than 7 months for a journalist to now get wind of this before the authorities now scrambling to try and fix it?
Yeah. Yeah, hello.
I'm asking you, you hear your colleagues say that 7 months is taking. You work in that area. What do you say? What do you say to that? The length of time is taking, the fact that they're working under these conditions for more than 7 months.
Well, the challenges at the district are usually many. I've worked at the district hospital for quite some time now. Well, I've heard the regional director, I've heard the doctor. My problem comes even from the facility level. There's a medical superintendent on the ground, who is a spending officer. So that, within your priorities, if you feel that the theater is something you have to attend to, it's my expectation that over this 7 months period, you will have been reimbursed by National Health Insurance over a couple of times, and then, you could spend to solve this problem, if it's a problem that has been standing for 7 months,
So it should have been solved at the facility level?
Well, I think it's very possible to be solved at the facility level. If you look at the theater lamp, it's a bit expensive, but I'm sure you can get some in the market that, at a price that the facility can afford, if that becomes a priority for you.
The regional director says the fact that the doctors used the torchlight, the light on their phones for the surgery is irresponsible, especially when they haven't reported it to him. What do you say to that?
Well, my surprise would be that if this was a case that happened at a time when the doctor knew that the theater lights was not functioning, the National Ambulance Service is there. This case could have been referred to one of the facilities in Wa. There's a Wa Municipal Hospital, and then there's a Wa Regional Hospital. And then a referral to any of these facilities could have probably saved their life. But I'm not sure the circumstances under which they were forced to enter theater. But if you are aware that your theater light is not functioning and the only light that is available to you is a torch light or a full light, then I think reasonably the case could have been referred to the regional hospital. But I'm not sure the circumstances as I've emphasized. So it's difficult to speak authoritatively on that.
I mean, you chair the association there, the Ghana Medical Association in that
region.
Yeah,
sure.
Generally, I mean, what's the status of facilities, health facilities in that part of the country? Is it up to standard, generally?
Yes. I mean, once you have your accreditation as a district hospital, I mean, you have been regulated by HIFRA, National Health Insurance. Both of these people come in to inspect your facilities and satisfy that you can operate at that level. Yes. So, yes, I mean, you don't have all the things you wish you had, but you have the basics that you can do it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's the chairman of the Ghana Medical Association in the Upper West region, Dr. Muslim Ibrahim Donko. Still listening to News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. George Affe is here with business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, February inflation rates drop for the second time this year to hit 52.8%, driven by city's marginal stability, as well as some stable prices of petroleum products, and bondholders receive payment for coupons and principals for maturities on February 6th and 13th of last month. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Allianz Life and Ghana Pay.
Hey, see the plenty money you are carrying this early morning.
Charlie, E-Levy asemu.
E-Levy do what? As for you, you wait and listen to all the information before you start carrying money up and down like we are in 1995. The E-Levy there, it has come. But you know MTN will always find a way to sort you out.
Sort me out, Sese.
Oh, so you don't know that when you transfer money between your personal accounts, cash in and cash out at agent points, buy airtime or data, pay bills, receive remittance from abroad, or even pay taxes, there are no E-Levy charges?
Hey, we are sure.
Listen, there are a number of transactions you can perform with your MTN Momo that are not affected by the E-Levy tax. And there's even more, Remember, your first 100 Ghana cedi transfer for the day is free too.
Hey, na me anymore.
Now, dear, you know.
There are a number of transactions you can perform with your MTN Momo that are not affected by the E-Levy tax. So keep enjoying the security and convenience with MTN Momo and make payments on the go with MTN Momo.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Keys. What could be simpler than a key? Who doesn't have a key? A car key, an office key, a drawer key. But there's one key that rules them all. The house key. The key to a place we call home. The key to the home where everything comes together. The key to a home that is our own. A home where we make life happen with our families and loved ones. Adoha has been working hard for over 30 years to make home ownership within reach for many. Say yes to property with Adoha. Your dream home is one call away. Your dream home is a few clicks away. Visit our Accra project, The Place, by calling 030-2789-757.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, bondholders that didn't sign up to the Domestic Debt Exchange Program have started receiving payments for coupons and principals that matured last month. Joy Business had seen emails showing that some commercial banks have indeed credited the accounts of these bondholders. Now, this was after the Bank of Ghana finalized the process in transferring bulk funds to these commercial banks this morning. The payment covered bonds that matured on February 6th and also on 13th of February 2023. The Finance Ministry has indicated that it will come out with a payment plan to handle those that matured on 20th February and the 7th of March this month. Two other stories now. A Gold for Your program is helping the Bank of Ghana to make some savings when it comes to its dollar reserves. The central bank, for instance, has cut the amount of dollars it sold to the bulk oil distribution companies at the auction done on Tuesday, that is March 13, 2023. The Bank of Ghana was supposed to have sold $30 million, but it was reduced to $20 million. The Bank of Ghana maintained that it was as a result of savings made from the gold oil program, forcing them to cut the amount that they will auction to these bulk importers. In a related development, the Bank of Ghana is projecting to save about almost $5 billion every year under this program. Now, these are monies that should have gone to these bulk oil importers to finance imports of finished petroleum products. Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia disclosed this at the opening of a new corporate office for the bulk oil storage and transport company around South Legon here in Accra.
2.5 months ago, you are at 23 cedis per liter. Today, you are at 12 cedis and falling. That is a good point. But let me point out that the most important aspect of the gold for oil policy, action in fuel price, but the most important aspect is the savings in foreign exchange that the Bank of Ghana will make as a result of the lower demand for forex to import oil. That saving is huge. We are 60% of our oil imports under this policy. The goal is to move to 100%, and that will be done this year. We will see this done with, and we'll work with the BDCs to make this happen.
Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, let's still stay on this sector because the price of crude oil has witnessed some significant reduction in just the past hours on the international market. Some of these trading platforms are quoting $65 a barrel for crude oil. Now, this is the lowest since 2021. The decline is linked to issues surrounding liquidity concerns of some banks in Europe. If this trend should continue, and that should impact positively on prices of petroleum products at the pumps. We understand that we should be expecting some significant reduction at the pumps from tomorrow. So that'll be interesting for you to watch out to see the oil marketing companies and what they'll be quoting for you as a consumer. Now, inflation rate for the second time this year witnessed a marginal reduction according to data released by the Ghana Statistical Service. But what has influenced this reduction, and have we finally seen inflation peaked? There is more in this report.
Data from the Ghana Statistical Service revealed that the reduction was mainly due to the drop in prices of foodstuff on the market. This has largely fueled the cedi stability as well as fairly stable prices of petroleum products, which impacted on price of petroleum products at the pumps. For the first time in more than a year, the food component of inflation dropped marginally. Items imported was a major driver of inflation for the month of February, as it posted an inflation rate of 62%. However, locally produced inflation stood at 49%. The data showed that transport inflation was about 70%, a development which could show that inflation could have gone down further if it was the recent increases in fares. But a question on the minds of many industry watchers is that, has inflation rate finally peaked? Well, the Ghana Statistical Service has always argued that it's early days yet to project that the inflation has now started slowing down.
And that was a business desk report. Let's still stay on inflation because the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobnenim, has been given more reasons as to what accounted for this marginal decline.
So you can say that the contribution in terms of the slowdown that we recorded in February 2023 was more from the food side because of the stability that we recorded in non-food inflation. Country will also price changes in utilities in the first week of February. So we did indicate that once there are price increases in particular items, we're going to capture these price changes. And indeed, it did reflect at that item level. But we need to be careful in saying that that item level contributed to the reduction or otherwise. So although we did capture the price changes in utilities that we recorded as a country in the first week of February, its net effect here could not have pushed the rate of inflation upwards, but rather we've seen a net effect of a year-on-year going down by 0.8 percentage point.
And that is a government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobnenim. Now, British Council says its Alumni UK network will facilitate programs and promotion between trade Ghana, between trade that is Ghana and the United Kingdom. Director of Programs and Partnerships, Solomon Awuntini, said his outfit will continue to explore diverse programs and strategies to leverage on opportunities aimed at supporting Ghana. He spoke to Joy Business at a business networking cocktail.
So the Alumni UK promotes trade for both countries in the sense that we have a lot of young artists in the area of arts and culture. So once they are able to develop their movies, they are able to, as it were, team up with their colleagues in UK to give them the platform to be able to, the bigger stage, to be able to, as it were, do business within the arts and culture sector, within the area of clothing. Those are all beats. So they are all areas that youth are able to do business within the UK counterparts. And so that is one of the areas that we are promoting through this Alumni UK in country.
And that is Solomon Antuni. He is the Director of Programs and Partnership at the British Council. To the stock market, MTN continues to rally on the stock markets as went up by 6 pesos per share today to close at 1 Ghana cedi, 16 pesos. Societe General was up by 9 pesos to close at 81 pesos. Unilever also was up by 32 pesos and is now worth 3 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. And that's all for business on Newsnight and Events. Interesting development on the international market. Brent crude dropping to $65 a barrel.
Yeah, and this you've been reporting is the lowest since
2021.
2021. Yeah. It's a major drop, and everybody's expectation is that this will then feed into how much you're paying for it at the pumps.
Yeah.
And to talk about that, George, you've already reported the Vice President talking today about how much you're saving as a country.
The Bank of Ghana will be saving.
Because of the Go for Oil deal. But for me and for almost everybody else who's a consumer when it comes to petrol and diesel and your cars, it is what it means for you when you drive to your favorite pump. Yeah. The Vice President today has said that as of tomorrow morning, we should expect prices to go down up to 10% reduction.
Interesting.
Up to 10% reduction.
But even just quick one, you could realize that the reduction, the increase that we saw with the passment was not because prices was going up at the international market.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more to analyze as far as that is concerned. But this is the Vice President talking about what you can expect to pay tomorrow when you go to your favorite filling station. It says up to 10% reduction will hit your pocket tomorrow.
Next week, it's not actually, Professor has just said it's not that far. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow we will see the decline in prices that we expect. I mean, this is remarkable. 2.5 months ago, you are at 23 cedis per liter. Today, you are at 12 cedis and falling. That is a good point. But let me point out that the most important aspect of the gold for oil policy is not just the reduction in fuel price, but the most important aspect is the savings in foreign exchange that the Bank of Ghana will make as a result of the lower demand for forex to import oil. That saving is huge. We are currently importing about 50 to 60% of our oil imports under this policy. The goal is to move to 100%, and that will be done this year. We will see this done with, and we'll work with the BDCs to make this happen.
The Vice President, so expect that tomorrow, George, when you drive your vehicle, my fuel is just pretty low.
So you want us to hold on?
I'm not buying fuel tonight. I'm waiting till tomorrow morning.
I want to manage my expectation about the margins, because you hear some of these oil marketing companies saying that they're trying to manage their costs, their input costs and all the rest. So sometimes what is projected is not what we might realize even at the point. But one critical thing, Evans, is that the increment that we saw last year was not necessarily because there was a huge spike in crude price on the international markets. It was because of the Ghana cedis depreciation. It means we're using more Ghana cedis to get the same volumes of finished petroleum products. Now that we've seen that stability, that should feed into prices as well. And also what is happening just over the last 2 weeks, crude prices are also dropping. So looking at these two factors, and then coupled with a policy that appears to be saving us some, because if you engage some of these oil marketing companies or BDCs, they also do a projection, and that is factored in the price, that if they think that the city is going to depreciate in the next 2 weeks, that is also factored in the pricing. So now that we've seen that marginal stability, we should be seeing prices coming down at the pumps.
And the point you made about why we saw significant increases
when it hit those
prices,
20s, yeah,
you put it down largely because
on
of
the city's depreciation event.
One of the reasons why the gold for oil policy was introduced was to help deal with the problem of the city's depreciation. Now we've seen some stability. Some may suggest that the gold for oil policy is possibly a factor.
It could be a factor, but not the major reason. No,
it could be a factor in that. And then secondly, also we've seen the reductions recently at the pumps when it comes to petrol that has dropped from the high of 17 I remember to now in the region of 12
13,
etc. And that has been a subject of a lot of talk among experts in the civil society space, who have made the point that the reductions we see on the pumps should not be put down solely
not 100%
to the gold for oil deal. Listen to Adam Yakubu. He is a research and policy analyst at the Institute of Energy Securities.
At the moment, on the international front, prices of petroleum products are dipping. They are falling. So when you pick the S&P platform prices for petroleum products, you realize that the prices have fallen by 2% for diesel, about 4% or 3% for petrol, and about 8.6, almost 9% for LPG. Then you look at our domestic front, the performance of the cedi over the last 2 weeks has relatively been good, in a sense that it made some 2% gain against the cedi, 22% gain against the dollar. So when you put those factors aside, then you look at international crude oil prices have been dipping consistently over the last 2 weeks, because the last time it went up was around the 28th February or so, where we saw the price do about $86 per barrel. But as we speak at the moment, both the WTI prices and the Brent crude oil prices are all on a downward trend. Diesel is doing about 804.85 per metric ton, and petrol is doing 790 or 794 dollars per metric ton, against previous prices which were slightly higher. And so for government to tell us it's a result of gold for oil, it would look quite ridiculous, because you ask yourself, when was the policy announced, right?
Yeah.
The policy was announced on the 25th of November 2022, implemented in the early days of January, and the first consignment actually hit the country on the 16th of January 2023, right? 40,000 metric tons was what we received. Fast forward, the next consignment, the second consignment, which is what we received came in on the 28th or 27th of March, February, 2023. And that we were told about 75,000 barrels. Put this together, gold for oil policy has not done up to half of our domestic consumption of petroleum products for a month. And so how then, because even per government's argument when it started, they told us that the policy would only see full fruition when it hits about 50% of the entire consumption per month. Remember, in a month we do about 300,000 metric tons. We do about 160,000 for diesel and about 140,000 for petrol. So put together 300. So if a policy that is yet to see full fruition, because implementation is one, but the actual products coming into the country is another thing, right? So how if we say that gold for oil is what is accounting for the drop in the prices when even the international market prices are dropping? What?
So George, bottom line is that the current reductions you've seen at the pumps, it's not solely because of gold for
all what the numbers put in together. The city stability is a major reason, and the fact
but that's the point I was making earlier. The city stability could also be attributed to gold for oil.
To gold and right. And look at the Bank of Ghana's auction done just last Tuesday. They're supposed to have sold about $30 million to these bulk importers, but because of this whole program thing, they had to scale back that amount to about $20 million. So the goal for the oil program is a contributory factor. The fact that also crude prices are dropping on the international market, that is impacting the price quotes for the finished petroleum product. And also you've seen the city stabilizing. You're not seeing those spikes. You've seen about more than a month now. So that would again contribute to prices coming down. But it might not be fair to say that all the reduction we are seeing is solely because of this program event.
Thank you very much, George. And we're looking forward to tomorrow morning seeing that up to 10% reduction in the price of petrol, diesel, and other petroleum products at the pumps. Let's do sports now. Mbao is here with details.
Yes, well, Evans is looking forward to the unveiling of Chris Hughton and Executive Council member of the Ghana Football Association, Oduro Safo. He has revealed one of the reasons why the FA decided to hire Chris Hughton, transitioning from being a technical advisor to now the head coach of the team. According to him, the association wanted to ensure continuity in the Black Stars after the team's World Cup campaign, which he describes as impressive, and also having been impressed with the performance of Chris Hughton in his role as technical advisor, they thought it wise to settle on him as the next Black Stars coach.
I had opportunity to talk to the man on about 3 people spoke to the man one-on-one, and we saw that the man had a desire to work for Ghana. So we said, okay, if that's the case, then we want to make you a technical advisor to be with the team. At least we can monitor you from there. And then we took pains. For instance, I never knew anything about Chris Hughton until he came here. So we started reading about him. And then after the competition, we knew that Otuado, even if he have won the World Cup, wouldn't have stayed because he had a contract and he was going to respect that contract. So he will go. So we will find a coach and a replacement. We met as ESCO and we asked ourselves, what do we do? And we said we should continue. Because the players that we have now are players that we are going to use for the future. Because if you have a players that have the age range of 24 years, then that means they can go in future to about 30 years.
Yes, so that's Oduro Safo. The events at 8. The big game between Real Madrid and Liverpool will be on Joy 99.7 FM. And of course, Liverpool looking forward to overturn the deficit they suffered at Anfield. The question is, can they do it? Can they, get a comeback against Real Madrid? We'll wait to see at 8.
Of course, we will wait. Thank you very much, Bao. So live here on Newsnight, it's on Joy 99.7 FM, and the minority in Parliament, they are tonight demanding that the Health Minister Kweku Agyeman be stripped of his national award that was conferred on him by the president yesterday. Now, some Ghanaians who excelled in their various fields of national endeavor over the years on Tuesday received national honors and were presented with awards for their meritorious services, hard work and sacrifices and contribution to the national development. The awards were dominated by contributions made in the fight against COVID-19. The health minister was one of them. But today at the press conference, the minority insisted that the health minister simply does not deserve the award. Listen to the argument.
The minority in parliament is deeply concerned about the manner in which yesterday's national awards ceremony held at the Accra International Conference Center turned out to be a final attempt by the clearing persons being investigated by Parliamentary Committee of Inquiry on their stewardship in the management of COVID-19 funds. The National Award Scheme, instituted by the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, in 1960, presents high honors to Ghanaian citizens and institutions who have distinguished themselves in service and sacrifice for the maintenance and advancement of our country. In as much as the minority agrees with the principle of duly recognizing the effort of deserving awardees, we are of the opinion that yesterday's event lowered the high standards previously set and maintained by previous awardees by commingling deserving and undeserving awardees at the event. For the first time in our history, persons whose conduct are currently being probed by Parliamentary Committee of Inquiry were publicly decorated with high honors in a desperate attempt by the President to finalize the corruption clearing process that he began during the message of the State of the Nation address in Parliament. The sensibilities of Ghanaians are ever being tested by this government, and it beats the imagination of reasonable Ghanaians how a minister who not so long ago was investigated for the manner in which he flouted our procurement laws to award overpriced contracts for procurement of Sputnik V in what looked like an underhand dealings to defraud the state, was given the high honor of the Order of the Voter.
He says the information minister should also be stripped.
The minority in parliament believes that awardees, including the Minister for Health, the Minister for Information, and others cited in the Auditor General's audit of COVID-19 funds, and other undeserving awardees should be stripped of their national honors in order to maintain the sanctity of the awards. Otherwise, we risk a situation in which deserving Ghanaians will shun the awards altogether. Thank you for the opportunity.
And that is the minority spokesperson on health, Minta Akando. A typical Ghanaian community is unique because of the people who live in it and how they relate with each other traditionally, and sometimes how closely knit the community is. Today, in a Ghana Man series, we take you to Napdam, a district of the Upper East region, and tell you the tell the story of the 5 communities together called Zoliba people, and how a majestic mahogany tree binds them together.
Pelungu, Damolgo, Lore, Zanlergu, and Dagliga. These are 5 distinct communities, each with their chief, elders, and people. But the 5 communities together are called the Zoliba people because of their common ancestor.
Zero migrated from Kusa Zuluk and settled at the current Lore community and gave birth to 5 people. He decided to discuss with them that they cannot all be in one place because those days, war can break out, and so he decided that the person who was his firstborn, Yamsia, should go behind him and settle. Then the Damogo, who is Yempu, should settle just closer him. And then he decided that the Lore, who is the lastborn, should stay with him.
Over the years, the people of the 5 communities of Zoliba have continued to relate as brothers and sisters.
If there's a problem in Lore, the problem is exactly for the whole of the Zola community, likewise the other communities. And that's why we are one family.
But this bond between the Zoliba communities was not created just by word of the mouth. The bond is represented by this majestic mahogany tree, which is a shrine for the communities.
That is our ancestral shrine.
And that's it for Ghana Connect tonight. On the back of that Ghana Man series, I'm going to hand you over to a woman who is strong and sassy. Hello, anyone.
On some days, and some days not so strong and not so sassy.
Oh, really? I've
because
never seen you not so